Good afternoon. Please introduce yourself.
Well, good afternoon. My name is Judge John Payton.
John, can you tell us a little bit about your judicial experience?
Well, I was elected when I was 18 years of age as a senior at Plano East Senior High School. Ran a grassroots campaign going door to door, garnering votes and support, and was able to unseat the incumbent and have a 28-year judicial career. During that time, I decided that I really wanted to go with what my passion was, and that was to work with at-risk kids and at-risk families. And so over that 28 years, I was able to develop a program that would get inside of what was really going on, looking at the mental health aspects of what may be causing an at-risk family or an at-risk kid, looking at how we can find solutions to help them climb out of their current situation and find a better path. And so over that 28 years, I saw over 98,000 kids. We successfully, through all kinds of different programs and ideas, were able to get 98% of the time those kids through high school, graduated back home, off drugs, taking care of themselves, which they hadn't done prior to coming into court.
Judge John, you mentioned these kids who have gone through your program, and some people refer to them as troubled kids. Some people refer to them as at-risk kids. Was there, in general, a bind between them all that involved mental health aspect or mental disorders?
There was. Mental health, first of all, there's a clear difference between mental illness and mental health. Mental illness is something that you deal with on a day-to-day basis. It's generally genetically prone, or it can be drug-induced, whereas a mental health issue is something that can be dealt with situationally, whether it's situational depression or situational anxiety. If you're worried about paying your taxes during tax season, you're one that might be anxious. Once you get your taxes paid, the anxiety goes away. And so with kids, what I noticed was they had a lot of situational depression and anxiety that came as a result of familial issues, school-related issues. Now, a lot of times the school-related issues were as a result of the familial issues, whether it be mom and dad are divorcing, or mom and dad don't get along, or nobody's paying attention to the child. And so as a result, these children would develop these short-term issues. Now, I also saw children that would come in that had eating disorders. And again, a lot of times mystery as to what causes that. Students that I found that came in with eating disorders didn't really want to talk about it. They could admit to it, but didn't really want to discuss the problems or the issues. And so we would dig deeper and use outpatient counseling, use individual counseling, a nutritionist, and hopefully be able to build the self-esteem and the self-confidence of the individual for them to overcome what they were dealing with an eating disorder. And so all of those things, though, seem to be interconnected to the fact that at some point there was a breakdown in the family unit and no recovery, and it pushed it to the point where it ended up in a courtroom setting.
Now, John, we are very privileged, honored that you have agreed to be the chairman of the board of the Morgan Foundation. Can you tell us a little bit about how you discovered the Morgan Foundation?
Well, got to know Steve Dunn and Morgan, and kind of watched the progression and the getting better and then not so better. And a lot of times it was just a matter of me talking to Steve on the phone. Hey, how are you? How's Morgan doing? How are things going with the practice? And then there was the fateful day where Morgan was taken away and was no longer here, and was ready to do anything I could to help support Steve, and because I can't imagine even what it would feel like to not have your child around anymore. And so tried to do everything I could, and it's not easy. It's hard because everybody is ready for help when they're ready for help. And so if Steve made the call, I would come running, and it would help any way I could. And so the Morgan Foundation kicks off. There was a gala and a fundraiser. I was asked if I would come and help with that. I did it proudly and was a part of it, and retired in January. And next thing you know, Steve and I are talking, and he said, John, would you be willing to be the chairman of the Morgan Foundation, and I said I would gladly take on that responsibility.
Thank you, John.